Welcome to the first and maybe only ever episode of Twig Talk with Brody and Brownie, of course, in that order. So, Brownie, you're the expert on this, and equipment is a huge part of hockey, right? Skates, pads, but sticks are unique to a hockey player. So, let's begin with this. We've got some brand new twigs from True, by the way, custom made, thank you. If you were picking out a stick, what are the different elements you'd be looking for and trying to get right for yourself?
Well, first of all, obviously, the obvious is, are you left or right-handed?
Let's start there.
For the old timers, I know you may have used a straight stick.
Which goes both ways.
However,
right.
Now that does mean something. Why? Because Brody's a right-handed player if he was actually into hockey.
Yeah.
I'm left, which is key. But if we're going to stick with your initial question, what are you looking for? Okay, if we're looking for performance, year after year, stick companies are trying to make this device, this tool, perform for you. When we used to use wood sticks, yes, there were wood sticks, all wood, many years ago.
Two-piece sticks also.
You had to shoot differently.
Yeah.
Now, think of a fishing rod where there's a lot of bend and a lot of throw for your hook.
Some flex.
I learned that from Owen Nolan. He's an avid fisherman. Well, now with the sticks, it's not so much force down and into the ice, maybe less of that and more, as you can see,
it's bending.
Flex as you release that energy from the stick that you've put in, actually goes into, in this case, a puck to fire the puck. Now, in the old days, not everybody could shoot hard. These help everybody's shot. So you ask, what are you looking for? Well, it depends. Brent Burns, I think, uses 120 flex.
We should explain that. The number, the higher the number, the harder it is to actually bend this stick, to your point. Essentially, the more whip it's going to give you through your shot, but you need to be strong enough, like Burnsy is, to have a 120 flex.
And there's other components. What do you do with that stick? So if all you're doing is slap shots, which nobody does that in the NHL, but yet you want that stick to perform, you're going to use a higher number, which is a stiffer flex. Why? Because you're exerting more pressure into it.
Higher the number, stiffer the...
I would benefit from a lower number, softer version of the stick. So
I use a 30. I use a 30.
So what are you going to use it for? That's one of the components. The other thing is, it's not just left or right, but if you look at the curve, all these companies have different versions. These ones are pretty standard in terms of there's a gradual curve that is going to help you obviously cradle the puck. If I'm cradling it with some curve, I'm going to be able to possess it on my forehand better than the back. So when I go to the backhand, I have to be able to cup the puck, which is using my hands, etc. The straighter the blade, the better the backhand control you'll have. Because you're losing some of the length once it starts turning. Okay, so if you use a big curve, you're going to be able to raise it, you're going to be able to control it on your forehand maybe better, do some toe drags, but you're going to lose some ability to use that backhand. So you see the guys that you have great backhands, a Sidney Crosby, maybe a straighter stick.
But there is something called an illegal curve. Like, you can't do anything you want to the blade of this stick.
In the olden days, there was a gauge. Today, there's some wild ones which far exceed. So it's more, what do you want to have for your craft? So you're looking for, am I a lefty or righty? How big a curve I want? There's actually height of blade. Now there's restrictions on that. If you look at our buddy over here, Little Brody.
That's me.
The goal stick, you can have a higher blade. But there's a limit on what you can use. Now the debate goes, well, do you want to max it out? Some people feel, well, I lose some control. And this isn't just the flex in the stick where it is. There's also flex that happens in the blade. So the stiffer or the higher you make that blade, the stiffer it gets, you might lose some of that touch.
Certain players have their preferred blade pattern. There's the Datsuk blade pattern. There's the Zetterberg blade pattern. Over the years, you could get the same blade pattern as your favorite player. May not suit you the same way, but that's what obviously they're going for. Part of the curvature here is also the lie, Brownie. What's the lie? So the lie is when you're comfortably skating, we're standing, how does that stick sit on the ice? If it's like this, that's way too low. Why? Because my toe's up. Now, if this is way too high, goalie sticks have a higher lie. Heels up.
I'm not going to be able to control it. So pretty standard is a number 6.
Okay.
Which means you can use it in multiple procedures. So if I'm reaching out, it's flat. If I come in, I have enough of the blade on there to have control of the stick.
Just hit him. You know you want to right now.
Well, can you get in there? You know, so loading the stick,
right.
You don't shoot from out here. I can't load the stick.
Okay.
Now, do you see guys shoot like this in compromised positions?
Yeah,
absolutely.
all the time.
But if you get an opportunity, you want to start it, drag it with your hands, body, it's an athletic move,
Ow!
Through onto the target. Now, one thing that you asked, why would you pick a Catalyst PX?
Right.
Because it's top of the line.
Right.
This is about 370 grams, which is so light, as you can tell.
It very, very much is.
And probably the biggest thing is the more, the higher class of stick, it'll get lighter and perform better.
Real quick, 20 seconds left. How do I know how high this stick should be? Where should I cut?
Well, first of all, that's far too tall for you.
Shocker.
They say in and about when you're on your tippy toes, it can be somewhere in between your nose and your chin.
Okay.
So clearly we're going to have another segment about what type of saw to use, how to do it, because that stick's far too big for him.
All right, that's been a great episode of Twig Talk. I said it was going to be the first and only one. Maybe we've got more to get to next time. We'll see.